Hello, welcome to another up close video. Today's one is for Tonic Showcase number 16, which is the ribbon rosette, and it's a lovely A5 die set and an A6 stamp set that coordinate together, and they're perfect for like birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, congratulations, good luck, well done on passing a test, all those kind of celebration sort of events. I think this die set is absolutely fantastic for that, and it's also great for masculine cards. If you struggle with masculine kind of cards, having the trophy and the rosette and the stars and stuff is fantastic for you know, an option for more masculine themed sort of cards. And then you also have in the stamp set all of the bits and pieces that can build up sentiments for whoever you're going to be sending it to. So you've got mum, dad, friend, girl, teacher, boy, and then such a wonderful person. You've got number one, so you can do number one dad, number one mum, all sorts of different combinations that you can create with the little words that are in here, and I'll go through them properly once I've gone through the die set. If you're interested in getting hold of this showcase, there will be affiliate links to both the UK and the USA Tonic websites below the video in the description, and also on my blog post as well. And let's get on with looking at the die set. So you can see here, this is like the main focal die. It's actually a gorgeous rosette, and you have the outside edge for the rosette that just cuts this slightly wonky scallop design, because the rosette isn't symmetrical all the way around. I think maybe it's symmetrical in half. I think everything opposite each other is symmetrical, but it does fit on the rosette backing sort of in maybe two different ways it would fit on, but you do have to sort of rotate it around to get a perfect fit if you want to put the dies back inside each other or get a perfect fit when you're sticking them together. But the interior rosette actually cuts out all that detail, so it has a solid centre, but the outside cuts out, and all of these little bits fall away. So the you know, to kind of create the depth and dimension, you can cut these out of the same colour but two different shades of the same colour to give the sort of outline a different focus from the background, to sort of give the look that this is like bunched up ribbon going all the way around. In the cards that Past Me will show you later, I did actually use a ball tool to try and like push the cardstock through these pieces to kind of even more give that ruffled kind of effect to the actual sort of ribbon portion of the rosette as well, so you'll see those later on. But it's a really gorgeous die, and you can actually either, you know, stick this piece onto the backing piece, or what I've done for one that I'll show you in a little bit, I actually had the two of them stuck together for the back piece, and then for the front piece I sort of moulded this and made it sort of cup up more, and then I cut away the extra of this die so that it was on solid, but it was just up to this fluted detail, and it gives a lovely layered look to the rosette and makes it look a little bit more three-dimensional as well. So really gorgeous rosette. And then you have multiple different elements that can fit inside this. So you have a stitched circle which goes perfectly in the centre there if you wanted to cut the centre out, or for layering up the centre as well. If you're using a couple of different colours, you could add like a mirror card map behind it with that one. And then you also have three different sentiments and two options for cutting the sentiments out. So you have the scalloped circle, which will cut the sentiment out perfectly, and it'll also fit inside that stitched circle as well. And then you also have the straight edged one that actually has a debossing line on it, so it cuts it into a circle and debosses a line a couple of millimetres in from the edge as well, which looks really lovely, and I will show you that on a card in a minute as well. So you've got that can layer inside. Then you also have the three different sentiments, so you've got well done you, you've got congrats with a star, and then you've got woohoo, which I like this one, woohoo, and it's got sort of swirly banners in that one. This one has the multiple stars in it, which is the congrats, and then the well done you also has like little swirls within there as well. Then to go along with the sort of stars from congrats, you've got a shooting star, where the star is falls out of the middle and gives you a lovely solid star as well, and this is actually a very skinny, delicate detail kind of shooting star, but you also have the backing to cut it out as well, and you'll see that used on the cards that Past Me will show you. Then you also have these two stars here, which work really nicely cut inside each other, or you can also cut that star inside this one, or place that star inside that one and use a mixture of the 3 different sized stars that you then have, because this one is sort of in between these 2 sizes, the one that falls out of there. So you've got a lovely selection of stars. You've got some fantastic little streamers. I love these. You've got lovely little swirly ones that could be streamers just for like a celebration, like coming down from the bottom of the card, from the top of the card, sorry. Or you could actually, if you have balloon dies, or you could turn one of these sentiments into a circular balloon, you could then use these as tails on the balloon, which I think would look really lovely. Or maybe even a kite as well. You could even cut a diamond out of card and use it as like a kite tail. You have a lovely little banner to put a sentiment in, and a lot of the words from the stamp set will fit inside that little banner as well. And it has the outside edge plus the interior edge, so you can cut them both together and create like a sort of outline of a banner that has the fall away pieces in the middle that you can then mount over the top of a sentiment, or you can stamp on the piece that falls away and place it back in again. So there's different options with that, or you could just use that fall away piece as a slightly curved sentiment banner as well without the flag tails on there. You've got this fantastic trophy. It's really, really gorgeous, this trophy, and it's really versatile. So you have the bubble to cut it out. So this enables you to do sort of shaker cards, possibly even a spinner card would work with the trophy as well. And, you know, it just gives you extra options, and also for a different way of like mounting it up as well. You can cut this out of another colour, add the intricate one on top, and then use 3D foam pads to raise it up as well. Then you have the main trophy die, which has gorgeous detail in it. The handles are really delicate and swirly, and they actually have cutout elements which make it really nice to have that backing plate to stick it onto. And then the bottom of the trophy also has cutout detail in there as well, so it makes it really nice and delicate too. And I also think, just looking at that now, you could use this perhaps as a planter in a garden, or cut off the handles and use it as like a medieval goblet or something. So I think this has got a lot of uses for it as well as just a trophy. And then you also get the central portion of the trophy, which cuts out some extra details so you can make it more of an intricate trophy, but it also debosses number 1 into there as well, so you can actually have number 1 on the trophy. Or if you didn't want number 1, it would deboss it into there, but you could easily snip out and place one of the other sentiments over the top, or you could even place that banner over the top of the trophy and hide the number 1 under there as well, depending on what kind of card you're going for. And then finally in the die set, we've got a set of 3 nesting flagtail banners. The outer 2 have got a gorgeous stitching on them, which is fantastic. I love stitched effects. And because these are quite nice and long, you could actually just use like the rectangle portion of them for your sentiment as well, and not have the flagtail if you didn't want. You could have this part as the edge of the card and have the banner coming in with the gorgeous stitch detail on, or you could cut these out of patterned paper and use them to build up a background. And then you also have my favourite one, I think. It has just like a nicer end to it. That's like the perfect flagtail banner end. It's not too deep coming in. Perfect, that one. And that just cuts out a solid flagtail banner. That's perfect for most sentiments actually. A lot of them in any kind of stamp set are this sort of proportion, so they'll go on there nicely. But the reason why they've given you the wider ones is so you can put more of the cursive kind of words on there as well, so they'll fit on there really nicely. So that is all of the dies in this showcase. And then with the stamps, let me just get a piece of card. We have got, sorry they're a bit dirty, I've used them quite a bit, but you've got You're the Greatest, and then you've got Dad, Mum, Friend, Super, Girl, World's Best, Teacher of the Year, It's Your Birthday, Goes to You, Thanks for Being, Got This, You, Such a Wonderful Person, Number 1, and then Boy as well, and then The and A. So you've really got everything you need to sort of build up whatever sentiment you're going for. So you can do World's Best Mum of the Year, or You could even do thanks for being the greatest mum as well. You can do super mum, you could do world's best friend of the year goes to you as well. So that, yeah, there's loads of different options of mixing and matching the different words in this set as well. Then you also get this gorgeous little bit of foliage that you could stamp onto the banners, onto the trophy, just to create an overall background. Stamping it loads of times in different orientations would make a lovely background as well. So that's a lovely little extra decoration. You've got this lovely firework. I really like this one. I use this on the cards that past me will show you, and I actually painted them in with some Nuvo glitter markers and a fine detail brush. And it looks really lovely doing that. And then you also have a rosette in here as well, and a tiny little star too. But the rosette, you can actually use, I think it's the stitched circle, yeah. You can actually cut the rosette out with the stitched circle die, and you might even be able to, no you can't, I was going to say you might even be able to cut out the centre with the other circle, but it's just that you can use the stitched die to cut out the exterior of that rosette. But I did also on one of my other cards, I actually cut the words, so the words are on a smaller circle, obviously because the other circles will cut them out, and you can actually cut the word into the centre of the stamped rosette as well if you want to, so it actually fits perfectly. Any of the 3 die cut words will actually fit perfectly, die cut out of the centre of the rosette too, if you want this little stamped rosette rather than making a large rosette. Or you could actually have this, so die cut the word in the centre of the stamped rosette, then die cut the stamped rosette out and put that on the die cut larger rosette as well. So you could actually completely mix and match them too. So lots and lots of options with how you can create different variations of the actual rosette. And as well as showing you some rosette ideas, I've also got a couple of other ideas just using some of the dies and stamps and stuff as well. So I'll be back in 1 second to show you the couple of samples that I've got to show you. Okay, so I made a couple of extra samples. This is the one I was telling you about layering up the rosette. So one has got the detail on underneath, and then this one I cut right up to the frilly bit and layered that up on top to create an actual kind of like rosette. And I put some tulle in there as well to try and make it look a little bit more fancy. I did want to stick a safety pin on the back of it, but I couldn't find one. So it's kind of more of a little decoration kind of rosette rather than one that you actually wear, but the idea was to make it so you could wear it, which I think would be a cool idea. I might actually hot glue a wooden peg onto there as well, so then you could peg it onto something. But it's just a little well done you little rosette, and this was just using some French blue cardstock and some denim blue cardstock, and then on the denim blue, which is the detail one, I actually pounced on some of the Galactica blue glimmer paste just to give it a little bit of sparkle. So you've now got the little sparkly elements, you can see it on the back as well, got sparkliness. And then I just layered up the sentiment in the middle, and I sandwiched the tulle between 2 of the rosettes. So I've got 3 solid rosettes and 3 intricate rosettes to create this, to give you that kind of effect. I think this would look really nice with actual ribbon bunched up in there as well, but I didn't have any that was wide enough or that I had enough length of that would work. But maybe like a red ribbon or another blue like satin ribbon in a wider format bunched up around there would look really lovely as well, because you've got this that sort of emulates that ribbon effect, but then having the real ribbon would look fantastic as well. So that's another sort of idea of turning it into a rosette, one that hasn't got the ribbon tails coming down off of it. And then I just had to do a spinner card. I decided to just do it with one of the circular sentiments, but I do think the trophy would work as well. You would just have to back the trophy with something and trim around it so that it's smaller than the actual aperture as well. But I love these kind of spinner cards, so you just sort of twiddle it up a few times, and this is how you would put it in the envelope for somebody. You'd twiddle it like this, then you'd shut the card, and then when they take it out the envelope and open it, it'll spin round. And I've just done the woohoo on both sides, and I put a star on one of the sides. And spinner cards are they're really easy to do and I do love making them. However, when I try and make them on one of my sped up videos, it's very difficult to show you how I'm making it because I'm using invisible thread, and in the sped up format it's even more difficult to see how you make it. But I can show you on the inside of the card how I do it. So I think you can just about see. Basically, I sandwich the invisible thread between two of the blue circles and I did them professional side facing outwards. Then I put the intricate die cut on both sides as well, and then what you do is you take a nice long length from both sides and you take your aperture in your card blank, so you're not working on the front panel, you're actually attaching it to the card blank, and then you take the invisible thread and you wrap it around this portion. Keep going either side of the thread that's attached to this medallion in the centre, and then do the same for the bottom of it as well, and keep wrapping it. Make sure it's nice and taut so it's not going to droop inside. And then you can, on the front of the card that's hidden underneath the panel, use red liner tape and stuff to really hold it in place and make sure that the tail of the thread is caught in there, so it's going to stay in there nice and tightly. And then you can put the front panel on, and then you have a gorgeous spinner card that's really nice and taut in the centre of the window, and that isn't going to sag over time that if you spin it too much. Because I've seen people before in the past, they make a spinner card but they only stick the thread to here and then they don't secure it properly, and then when you spin it the thread just starts pulling out, and then you end up with a spinner that's either completely fallen off or just doesn't spin properly because it's sort of sagging in the aperture. But that is the best way that I've found to do it. And if you didn't like being able to see the thread on the inside, you could just create another front panel with the aperture in and like line the inside, maybe out of patterned paper or something instead, if you didn't want to see the thread on the inside. But I don't really mind seeing how a card works. So I thought I would show you that one as well. Really, really simple. And I have just stamped the It's Your Birthday, which is 2 separate stamps, in pumice stone distress oxide in first and second generation. Then I splattered it with the Midas Touch Aqua Shimmer, and then I've just cut out some of the stars as well, and you can see there's 3 different sizes. This is the one that falls out of the shooting star, and it's slightly smaller than the one that comes out of the actual larger star die as well. And then I've just, you know, completed it like that. So really, really simple, but I just love spinner cards. They're lovely and interactive, but they're probably one of the most, well, after a shaker card, they're probably one of the most easiest interactive kind of cards. So really, really cool to do a shaker card as well. So I will pass you back to, well, I'll pass you on to past me to see the samples that I created before, that hopefully you will have seen on the packaging of your die set when you get it. So I'll see you again in a minute to end the video. So these are the cards that I have created with this stamp and die set. So the first one is just really simple, just using the stamps from the set and using that gorgeous rosette kind of stamp and creating a teacher card, but you could easily keep all of the rest of the ones the same but switch out the sentiment in here if you were doing it for dad or mum, or maybe even a brother or a sister if you've got some other stamps with different words on as well. Or even using alphabet stamps to spell out someone's name as well would look really good on this. But I've just done it so that the whole background is flat, and then the one that's got the actual teacher sentiment is actually raised up a little bit, just to give it a little bit of difference and make you kind of focus on that one. And I also used slightly darker blue tones to colour that one in. It's not really that evident, but I did use slightly darker blues to colour the centre in. And then I just used this really fine gold pen. It's one of these little pen touch ones, really, really fine, with the actual like solvent based paint inside them, and they work really nicely to get this like little fine gold line around those rosettes. I know it's a little bit wonky, but it's kind of difficult to keep your hand still going around in a circle like that. But I also did little sort of bubbly dotty things in the background as well, just to sort of fill it out a little bit. I do think this is quite a simple looking card. You could step it up a little bit, and instead of just keeping like these in the background, you could have a bit of stenciling between. You could have used some of the other small stamps to stamp between. You could do colouring in the background as well if you wanted to. You could have stamped these a lot closer together so that there weren't so many larger gaps, or you could even just like use this portion on an inky kind of background that you've done as well. So there are loads of different ways. I just wanted to show you one sample just using the stamps. So that is that one. Then I also did this one, which is using the stamps and the dies together. And this is really clever. That rosette, the 3 sentiments that are in the die set fit perfectly inside, and you still have that little tiny edge piece that I coloured gold on the previous ones. I also coloured it gold on these ones, but you can actually line that die up with the words in perfectly in the centre and cut out the detail as well, which I think is brilliant. I love this little banner. Look how sweet that looks when you have you cut the outside die just from white and then the 2 together from gold or whatever colour and lay them on top of each other, and you can actually curve the stamps from the set as well, the small little ones that will fit in there. You can curve them round so that they fit kind of with the curve. It's a little bit off, but you get the idea that it can go round the curve. In the background, I did the gorgeous little fireworks stamp to create like a whole little display, which I thought was really nice. And the way I did that was I used the poppy red and empire blue ink pads, the large Nuvo ink pads. There's also a red and a blue in the smaller ones if you have the mini ones as well. But I used those two to stamp the fireworks all over, and then that glittery effect that's in there, you might think, how on earth has she done that? Because glitter markers have quite a fat nib on them that, you know, that's not going to get into that tiny detail. But what you do is you take your glitter marker, you press it onto your mat to get some of the ink out, or if you had red and blue, I don't think they have these 2 colours in sparkle sprays, but if you did, you could tip out a little bit of a sparkle spray. But basically you get a puddle of the ink, and then I just used a tiny paintbrush, one of these little tiny ARTEZA ones, to paint in all the detail, and I think it looks really good. I know that is a little bit tedious. If you did have like a sparkly gel pen, that would work just as nicely as well, but I wanted to stick to tonic products, so I used the glitter marker, and I think that gives a really nice look for fireworks. And I also because I still had some of the ink out, I just watered it down and splattered it onto there as well, so you've got some little red and blue splatters in the background too. And then for the final touches on that one, I used the star dies. So you have the 2 different sizes, which I'm sure Future Me has just told you about. And then you also have the shooting star one. And if you take the smallest star die and cut it from the centre of this, so tape it into place in the die and cut it from the centre, you can then do this cool thing in that shooting star and layer them inside each other. You could just place the small star on top as well if you wanted to. But I was cutting out multiples of these so that I could do this technique, and so that I could use them elsewhere as well. So you get the little outside pieces, which I've then placed on top of the larger star that comes separately. You could also cut the smaller star inside the larger star, but because well, no, that would actually work. They come inside each other on the die set. You'd get a slightly larger border basically. If you cut that small star inside the large star, you'd get a larger border, whereas this one gives a really delicate border because the largest star that's inside the shooting star is slightly smaller than the larger star that's separate. So basically you get 3 sized stars, because if you don't put the small one inside, you then just get that sized star falling out of the middle as well. So you do get 3 different sizes of little stars, which is lovely for scattering. And then to finish this one off, I also added some honey gold Nuvo glitter drops as well, just to go with that kind of theme. I did this one as a well done you, you're the greatest, but you could do this, because I've done it in like red, white and blue kind of colours, it could be like a 4th of July sort of card. I know we've gone past that now, but it could be that kind of feeling, or it could be a Jubilee kind of card, or you know, anything like patriotic. It could be to go with that, or it could just be for somebody who you know loves red and blue. So I thought that was a nice little extra one to do. Those 2 I didn't film, those were just extra ones that you'll only see in this video. And then these 2 are just using the dies, and I did actually film this one as a sped up video as well, so this should be up in the next day or so. after this video goes up. So for this one, I love these streamers. They are just so cool. They cut so delicately there, and there are 3 different ones which I will have already shown you in the die set, but they just look so amazing. And especially when you've like used a die to cut them, they get that little beveled edge on them, and they just look brilliant. They're so beautiful and fine and delicate, and I'm sure you could use these for lots of different occasions. If you have like a small balloon die, imagine a balloon on top of there with that gorgeous string coming down. You could turn one of these sentiments into a balloon and have the string coming off of it. You could do lots of these and have them all over, and they could all be bunches, like a big bunch of balloons with the different strings coming off of it. These could be you know, if you did like a piñata sort of card, you could have streamers coming out of it. You could even incorporate these into the fireworks as well. You could have them as like the trails behind a firework. You could maybe even do them for a rocket or something to show the wiggly trail out the back of it, or actually even a bumblebee. This one would look really cute for a little bumblebee on the end of it as like a little wiggly trail for that. This one could be something jumping off the ground. It's almost like a spring action. Any of like the little critters from stamp clubs and stuff, you could use that underneath them as like a motion for jumping. So I think these are really cool, different extra like little dies that you could use for lots of different things. Perfect as little streamers, but also lots of different ideas that you could use them for as well, which I think is brilliant. And so I've just done a lovely random selection of them all over this card. I actually cut them from a textured red card, so the Craft Perfect textured red, textured blue, then a pearlescent yellow, and then also a darker blue textured as well, and then also the red velvet satin mirror board. I thought that would go really nicely as well, just to give a little bit of like tiny bit of shine to the card too. And there was actually a dark red that I cut it from too. So 2 different blues, 2 different reds, a yellow pearlescent, and then the red satin mirror card as well. It just gives a really nice variation across the card, and they sort of catch some of them catch the light, some of them are just sort of there in the background, which I thought was quite a nice way of using it. And then I used that gorgeous trophy, and you can, like, the actual trophy die cuts like this, and that's why I actually use for the backing behind this, but then you also get the extra die that can cut into this area to give this gorgeous patterned detail. But if you wanted it to just be more solid, you didn't want the number 1 detail, you know, you could turn this into maybe a tennis trophy, a football trophy, any kind of, you know, sport that might have that sort of a cup, or even like a fancy egg cup on an Easter card or something. You know, you could really use this in a different way, maybe even up the other way. You could think of something that it looks like as well. So lots of different uses for a little trophy. And if you use then the bubble die that comes with the die set, you can then mount it either on the same colour so it's not too obvious, like on the background, or you could cut it out of a different solid colour, and then when you lay this back on top, it allows you to paper piece the details in. So on this card I paper piece the bottom in so it's more solid, and I also paper piece the handles in, and I used a mixture of the, I think it's called golden satin cardstock that's got that like stripy effect in it, and then I also used the yellow, I think it's yellow Lustre pearlescent cardstock as well to paper piece the details back in, but also like a lovely shiny silver or just the plain shiny gold card would look really nice on that as well. That's the gorgeous trophy. And then the sentiment I used on this one is the one that says woohoo, and I just shadowed it with the gold so that it kind of goes with the rest of the card and it stands out a little bit. And I used the same dark and light blue textured cardstock that I'd done for some of the streamers for this as well. So that is the first one out of the 2 from this sped up video. And then the second one is using that like main giant rosette die. I did Google a rosette, and it does say, or it does show a picture that these ribbons come out from the centre over the top of the rosette, but you could put them behind as well. I was fiddling around with, do I want them in front, do I want them behind, but I did look up what an actual rosette looks like, and they are supposed to come out from in front of the ruffly part, so that's how I did it. You could have gotten away with the larger ribbon tails as well, especially if you were going to maybe put this on a DL card. You could definitely use those larger tails to extend it down the card and give you a larger design, but because I wanted to fit it on a smaller card, I thought it might look funny if they were really fat tails that were quite short, so I did use the slightly skinnier ones, but you do also get one that's even skinnier than that as well, so you've got lots of options for the little tails. Obviously you don't have to use it with the tails either. For the background I scattered some of those stars and also some of the streamers, making sure that the yellow coloured ones go over the top of the rosette so that you could see them. And then also for the actual rosette, I tried to make it look a little bit more three-dimensional, and I cut two of the intricate rosette designs out, stacked them together to make it a little bit thicker, and then I stuck it with this darker red cardstock. I cut the larger like bubble kind of die out with the darker red, stuck them on top of it, and then I used a small ball tool, one of these Tonic ones. This one here is really good. That's the smallest out of the set of 3, and I turned it over and like embossed the triangle portions, and then I went from the front and debossed the other portions. I think that's how the ruffle is supposed to go, but I just thought it might give a little bit of three-dimensional texture. I don't know if you can really tell. I think it does give a different look. If you just stuck the 2 die cuts on top of each other, I think it could look a little bit flat, but if you want to you know, try and add that little bit of extra dimension, I think doing that embossing technique does kind of give you that sort of feel. And even more so, if you wanted to, you could take a darker alcohol marker and colour in those bits that you've debossed backwards, so that again it gives like a slightly darker effect going backwards. And also you could even snip off the rest of the bubble coming around the edge as well if you wanted to, because I haven't embossed or debossed into that edge piece, so to give it even more of a ruffly feel you could cut that away as well. But there's lots of different options of how you could give this a nice three-dimensional feel, but I do think it would still look nice just the 2 die cuts on top of each other as well, especially if you were making lots of them for like perhaps you were doing a party or a sports day at school or something. You could actually make the ribbons to give to people, and you could like tape a safety pin on the back of them, and then it could be an actual first place, second place, third place that they could have on them, or even just like congratulations or well done for contributing. I'm not 100% sure what the colours are for first, second and third place. I have a feeling that second place is usually blue, so I presume red would probably be first place, but the picture that I googled was red, and I just thought I love this satin red mirror card, so I thought I'd go with the red one. So, hope you enjoyed those cards, and I will pass you back to future me to finish off the video for you. So I hope you enjoyed this up-close video for Tonic Showcase number 16, which is the ribbon rosette. And don't forget, if you're interested in getting this die and stamp set, the affiliate links for both the UK and the USA websites will be in the description below the video and also on my blog as well. And I hope you enjoyed the ideas that I've shown you. I can't 100% remember what cards you've just seen, but I have a feeling I tried to show you lots of variations of what you could do with them. So hopefully you've enjoyed seeing how you could use this die and stamp set, and I'm sure there are tons more options that you could do as well. I definitely think you could turn this into a shaker card because you have that extra aperture for the trophy on here. You could definitely do a rosette shaker card as well. I think that would look fantastic, and I'm sure there's tons of ways of building up different backgrounds, cutting some of these dies out, whether it's loads of sentiments, loads of stars, using the banners to cut pattern papers out and stuff. I think there's tons of different uses for this stamp and die set depending on what kind of look you're going for on your card. And I do think it's a great one for those masculine cards that I know a lot of you struggle with making, so I think it's a great one for that as well. So hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!